always felt that Battlefield 4 needed some more competitive game modes, especially since their feeble attempt at launch with the Diffuse game mode went down like a lead balloon. DICE have recently given us Squad Obliteration, which is simply a 5v5 version of Obliteration, which interestingly has been taken on by ESL as the main game mode for the last season of competitive matches for Battlefield 4, taking over from Domination. And here again we have DICE stating their intent really on providing people with squad game modes, or indeed competitive game modes. Welcome to Squad Conquest. Now, to help you understand how this game mode is going to work, no, it isn't just 5v5 Conquest, there are a few twists in there. I will quickly summarise it for you. First of all, as the name suggests, it is 5v5, it is a competitive game mode, US versus Russia. You spawn at a makeshift deployment, which is different to the one that you might expect for a normal Conquest game. It's much closer to the centre of the map, and your objective is, as always, to capture the flags. Besides that main objective, you will need to stay alert, however, because the first twist in this game mode is it works similar to Conquest Assault, or Double Assault as what it's being dubbed as now, where if all of your team die and you don't have a flag to spawn at, then the other team automatically wins. This was a game mode that was available in the Back to Karkin DLC for Battlefield 3. If any of you guys played that, you'll probably be familiar with how Conquest Assault worked. And there are 3 flags to cap, meaning that one team will always have more than the other team, so it will bleed all the time, which forces the enemy team, or maybe you, to actually go and try and take one back. So hopefully you should have this cycle where everyone's taking the flags all the time, and you're not just in this stalemate. Now that all sounds very similar. A lot of guys who've played Conquest Assault before, and indeed Conquest, will probably be very familiar with how this game mode works, but you might think that it's just Conquest with 10 players instead of 64. Well, you'd be wrong, and this is where things get interesting. DICE wanted the mode to support vehicles and show all aspects of what makes Battlefield so unique in a competitive 5v5 environment, so they decided to add an unlockable tank into the mix. They're calling this a strategic team resource, and depending on the map that's being played, the unlockable item will vary. So it might not always be a tank, it might be a 50 cal rifle, or I don't know, like an LAV for example. But right now the game mode is only available on Zavod 311, so having a tank does make sense, but in maps like Operation Locker, a tank might not be so suitable, so it's probably going to be different there. This resource will take shape as a 4th flag on the map, meaning you'll need to capture that zone with your squad to be able to access it. And it takes much longer to capture this zone, obviously, as the prize is much more lucrative. But you can't just focus on that objective though, as you'll end up losing all the other flags as spawn points, and you could risk throwing away the whole game. So that gives you a general understanding of how it works, and obviously right now there are a few issues with it. It is only available in the CTE right now. I can't remember if I said that at the start or not, but it is only available in the testing environment. But having played like 4 or 5 rounds earlier today, I can say that with some confidence that DICE made a good stab in the dark with Squad Conquest. I didn't expect this game mode to come out. I really wanted Squad Rush to make a return, but it really does offer that 5v5 intense gameplay, and especially when capping that 4th flag and fighting over the tank. And when that tank does end up spawning in, it turns from an infantry battle into something that's much more difficult to navigate. There are a few things that I'd like to see changed with the game mode though. For example, I think it's far too easy for one team to just steamroll the other, because you don't need a full server to start the round, at least not in my experience anyway, and this means one team could end up capping all of the flags with 5 full players in their squad, and the other team that maybe only has 3 players are left stranded and lose almost instantly. Also, I think that the flag zones should be a little bit smaller to match the reduction in the playable map area, because obviously you're only playing with 3 flags on Zavod 311, so the map zone is a lot smaller. So I think that the capture zones for each flag should be reduced as well. And this will eliminate what I found to be a big issue, where most people, because they were using the standard size of Conquest burn area, you could just sit behind cover, and because you're the only one there, if you had a silenced weapon, you could just take everybody out and it wouldn't really matter. It kind of felt like it should be a bit closer in, make it a little bit harder to take that flag, and it would eliminate people from just camping and using cover there to their advantage. It just didn't really seem very fair to be using the Conquest flag layout that was already there. Maybe they should make the zones a little bit tighter, just to make things overall a little bit more interesting to play. The tank turret is really slow to turn, despite my sensitivity being up way higher than it is usually, and doing some digging on Reddit, I managed to find the answer here. It's the 120Hz netcode that the server is running on. And that's right, this server's running on 120Hz tick rate, which is way higher than what is normally set for a server in Battlefield 4, where it usually sits at 30Hz. So a lot of the physics and stuff don't scale all that well. But David Serlin, the lead developer, has said on Reddit that they're looking into resolving all of this soon, because they want to try and roll out these higher tick rate servers, but they really do need to be heavily tested before they make it across to the main game. And I got killed in action like 8 or 9 times in total, just from completely random things. Like, I was just running along and I got killed in action, or somebody came around the corner, I was just about to shoot them and I got killed in action instead of being killed, which was really infuriating. I'm sure that will get fixed because it's already been mentioned on Reddit as well. And a couple of times where I got revived, I didn't get revived. My teammate zapped me to death instead, which was kind of annoying because the point of the game mode is you all need to be staying alive, and he just killed me with his defibs instead. But once again, I'm sure that will get fixed. But anyway, that's Squad Conquest. It is really fun, and I can't wait to give it a go on some of the other maps and different flag points, different resources, and I really do hope it gets taken on as a competitive mode as well, because I think it really does hit home with what DICE wanted, which was making sure they could offer a competitive game mode that really showed off what Battlefield really can be. And that is the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching today. If you could leave me a like, that'd be much appreciated. And don't forget to hit up g2a.com/r/Westy for some great deals this weekend on some awesome games. But until next time, my name is Westy, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.